Hey everybody, what's going on, and welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. Make sure you guys visit gnrcentral.com for the latest Guns N' Roses news. We've been having so many posts go up daily as the news breaks. So the big news story that probably got the most views on the blog this week was the touching photo that Meegan Hodges, which is Slash's girlfriend, posted on social media. So she doesn't use Twitter as far as I know, but she uses Instagram a lot. And she tweeted out she Instagrammed a photo basically saying, "Thank you for helping me make this happen," to evedbanah, Axel, Fernando, and I think the other person, Santista, is either Fernando's wife, or I think it might be Fernando's sister, Vanessa. So basically, they were celebrating Slash's sobriety. I think he's been sober for 12 years. If you go by the Letterman interview where he talked about not having a drink or doing any kind of drugs since 2006. So at the time of recording this, I looked at Metacritic, which basically aggregates all of the reviews that have been done for albums, movies, video games, and Appetite for Destruction's Reissue has an average score of 94 out of 100, which is really remarkable. I've put up an article on my blog, which I've linked to down below, that basically summarizes what a lot of the main publications are saying. There really wasn't a whole lot of negative with any of the reviews that I saw. I think the lowest review I saw was 8 out of 10. I felt like the reviews were a little overblown. I was personally disappointed with the reissue, but I still think it's worth getting just to hear some of those amazing demos. Another news story we had was with Sheila Easton. She used to be a Penthouse pet. She gave an interview to The Guardian where she talked about spending a night with Axl Rose, and this is the interview that she gave.
And it was right after them coming off the tour that they had, and he was at a nightclub, the Cat Club in Manhattan. I guess Ricky Rackman kind of ran the show. That was his little sidekick at the time. They had done Headbangers Ball on MTV, and so they were always like kind of they had a bromance going. And so my girlfriend was more into the whole heavy metal scene, and I didn't know who he was. I just thought, wow, he's gorgeous. He had this long red hair and scruff on his face, and I was like, wow, who is this guy? And she goes, you don't know who that is? And I said, no. She goes, it's the lead singer of Guns N' Roses. I was like, okay. So we walk over and we're hanging out, and he was like, do you want to go to the after party at our hotel? And I was like, sure. And he says, get rid of your friend. And I said, why? And he goes, oh, she's a little plump. We need, like, maybe you could go pick up a model or something, or don't you have any other girlfriends? I said, I don't know anyone here. And then, of course, my girlfriend knew this other girl, and she was a model, and she was gorgeous. And so we all go back to the hotel, and they're all doing drugs, and I mean, it's a scene in there. And it's straight out of Boogie Nights, there's cocaine everywhere, there's pills, there's champagne. And I just happened to go into his bathroom, and I'm looking around, and just went to the bathroom, and everybody's in the living room. And I look around, and I see bottles of lithium and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, he is about to explode. This guy is on everything right now. And I kind of got scared, because I had heard, that combination was kind of an ugly thing. And I just knew in my gut that it was bad. And so that ended up being not a good thing. And then he wakes up the next day and disappears. I'm still in the hotel, and he goes to the Howard Stern show, and he was late for the Howard Stern show. I said, what happened to you? He goes, nobody comes to my show late. And he goes, oh, I was up all night with a Penthouse pet. So then Howard Stern said, oh, then that's okay.
Now, one odd thing I found about Sheila Easton's story, at least from the records I've been able to find being a huge Howard Stern fan, I can't find any record of Axl actually going to Howard Stern's studio for a scheduled appearance. There's only been 2 recorded incidences that I've seen of Axl being on Howard Stern's show. One was from 1989 where Howard called Axl in his hotel room unannounced, and the other one was when I think Sebastian Bach called into Howard's show back in 1990 when he was hanging with Axl, but I can't find any kind of proof that Axl actually went to Howard's studio for a scheduled appearance. And in the last 25, 26 years. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe she remembers the timeline of events a bit differently, and maybe it wasn't Howard that he was talking to. There was an interview done with Avenged Sevenfold's bassist Johnny Christ. He was interviewed by Southeast Rec Metal, and he discussed the influences that Metallica had on him, as well as Guns N' Roses. So he said about Guns N' Roses, he said, years ago they took us out. We played a couple times. We had Slash on stage with us in LA to play It's So Easy, and then 5 years later we had Duff out on stage in LA for an award show to do the same. To play with your heroes is absolutely great, and even better on top of it, to become friends with them and see how nice they are and everything. Sometimes you're a little scared to meet your heroes because they could end up being dicks, but that was thankfully not the case. Another band who opened for Guns N' Roses was the Manic Street Preachers. There was an interview with their bassist Nicky Wire, who talked about Appetite for Destruction with enemy.com. So he said that it was probably his bandmate James Dean Bradfield's little terrace house in South Wales when he first heard the record. He said because he had got it first and he was absolutely addicted to it. Reflecting on the album's influence, he went on to say it put the roll back in rock, because at the time hard rock had reached a dead end and it was all American hair bands and the rest of it, and grunge hadn't happened yet. He continued, it just had a swing and a danger to it that had been sadly missing. It kind of managed to update the aesthetics of the Rolling Stones, but in a more rock context. It was such a relief for us to hear music like that. So you guys may not know this, but Manic Street Preachers covered the song It's So Easy in one of their live shows. I hate their cover personally, but if you guys want to check it out, I've linked to it down below in the description box. So rock magazine Metal Hammer had the readers vote on the best song from Appetite for Destruction, and the song that received the most votes was Rocket Queen. Now, I personally like Rocket Queen, but I don't think it's their best song off Appetite. So here's the way the list read. So going from the most popular to the least popular songs, Rocket Queen was number 1, Sweet Child of Mine was number 2, Paradise City was number 3, Night Train was number 4, Welcome to the Jungle was number 5, surprisingly. Number 6 was It's So Easy, Mr. Brownstone's number 7, My Michelle ranked quite low, I'm surprised, number 8, I would have probably ranked it number 1 or 2 for me. Number 9 is Out to Get Me, number 10 is Think About You, which I would have ranked much higher on the list. You're Crazy was number 11, and number 12 was Anything Goes. I feel like Anything Goes is also an underrated song. I probably would have put You're Crazy last on the list, and put Mr. Brownstone probably a couple more spots down as well. So if you guys want to see the full list, I've linked to it down below. There was an interview this week with the Darkness frontman Justin Hawkins. Of course, they opened for Guns N' Roses a number of dates on the Not This Lifetime tour. They also supported Guns N' Roses previously back in 2006 and 2012. The interviewer asked what was it like opening for Guns N' Roses. Did he have a nice time? He said it was awesome. We supported Guns N' Roses in 2006 and 2012. This time, referring to 2017, was better. The atmosphere was great. They were enjoying playing the music, and there was less going on late. It was a good experience. We played at the racetrack in Imola in Italy. There were 120,000 people there. It was great. The interviewer pressed on and said, why was it better? He said, on the first tour, there was a moment when Axl was trying to get from his dressing room to the stage, and one of his bouncers picked me up and held me against the wall so I wouldn't obstruct his way. That sort of thing was normal. The second time we toured with them, we'd come off stage, we had a chat with friends, go back to our hotel, have a few drinks, and Guns N' Roses still hadn't gone on stage. This time they seemed like they were enjoying the show, and they sounded great. So we have some more news on Shadow of Your Love. So it had peaked at number 5 on the Billboard mainstream rock charts, but it looks like it's starting to fall now. So it fell a spot just down to number 6, but I don't think it's going to be peaking any higher on the Billboard charts other than number 5. I'm sure in the coming weeks it's probably going to start sliding down the charts, but we'll have weekly updates for you guys who are interested in this kind of stuff. We also had some new photos of the band members on their European tour. This one was taken in Barcelona, Spain. I swear I've been on that street corner before in Barcelona, but a lot of the street corners look kind of similar, but I'm sure the band was staying in one of the more popular parts of the city. And then this is a photo of Axl with Fernando and Melissa on their private plane. There was also this old school photo of Slash that appeared online that I hadn't previously seen. This is from his teenage years back in the 80s. We always report on celebrities wearing Guns N' Roses shirts, and this week it looks like Cindy Crawford, the supermodel, her daughter, Kaya Gerber, is apparently a Guns N' Roses fan. She was spotted wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt, and this isn't the first time somebody in her family has worn a Guns N' Roses shirt. This is Cindy Crawford, who was spotted wearing a Guns N' Roses shirt, and I think there's been a couple other occurrences too. She even dressed up as Axl and Slash. I think her husband went as Axl, and she went as Slash for Halloween one year as well. So that does it for this week's news, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do, and be sure to stay tuned to GNRCentral.com to stay up to date on the latest Guns N' Roses news as it breaks hour by hour. Also, go support us on Patreon if you like our channel and our content and want us to keep continuing to make content. Take care.